What a travesty to have led a life filled with regrets. And what's even more tragic is that most of those regrets could have been avoided. Is that possible still in your life at this stage of the game? That's what we're going to talk about in the upcoming video. Well, I'm here with my friend Darrell, and I want to pose a question to Darrell about living a life without regrets. I don't think there's anything that could be worse for someone as they grow older and older, and they look back on their life and they say, gee, I wish I had done that. I wish I had given it a try. What is your take on that when it comes to guys coming over here, Darrell, to Southeast Asia, not necessarily the Philippines, but just taking that leap of faith?
I'm gonna make that a two-part question. I'm gonna start out with the second part, okay? When I sit and reminisce today, life is so different here. I'm reminiscing about the last 4 years that I've been here. I'm not rehashing all of the old things that happened to me in the past so much anymore. Now that's the way that it was, and that's the way it naturally would be to this day if I hadn't come here. And I think that knowing now what I know, I have yet to meet anybody. Their only regret is they didn't do it sooner. The biggest regret of all the people I've talked to is they didn't do it sooner. Few people, they're not really going to be happy about the choices they made when they got here and mistakes they made. It doesn't really matter. The thing is that if you're living life right and you don't get off on a wrong footing, I can't see how anybody's life would not improve being here if you're just living on average Social Security. And it doesn't even make sense to me how somebody's life would not possibly be better here. It just will be. And if you're a freak out about cracks in the sidewalks and those kind of things, which is legit, if you've got, there's places that have brand new sidewalks where you wheelchairs all over the place. There's places like that here. You don't want to see garbage, there's places like that here. You don't like a lot of these poverty, There's places like that here. You don't have to live that way just because that's what you hear about people that live in a particular town. So the regret part would be not coming and doing it sooner, or assuming it's going to be this way or that way when you get here, because it may not be. And if it is, you just go someplace else. There is 1,000 islands that are occupied in this country, and they'll have a little bit different personality. Like California is going to be different than, say, Northern California, or San Francisco is going to be different than Lake Tahoe. Those are just California issues. San Francisco, Palm Springs, Riverside, I mean, all are different. So no matter which, you might move to 3 of those cities and hate it, but you love San Diego, so you move down there.
And we're only talking one state.
That's just one state. And there's 50, there's Alaska, there's Florida, there's Guam, for Christ's sakes. I mean, there's just so much diversity there. And there's not quite as much diversity here, but there's a lot of diversity here. You don't hear about because you hear about people who are from the province like Porac. Okay, so my experience is different than somebody from Dumaguete or Cebu or wherever. But you need to find your own place. The regret is getting someplace, thinking that's all there is to it, and then going back. I mean, there's so much to hear, so much here that you could find that will check all of your boxes. It's just here, in my opinion. And I'm from San Diego. I've traveled around the world a bit. I've been in half the states in the United States. I've lived up and down the West Coast. This is just my personal experience. So my biggest regret, along with a whole lot of other people, is not coming sooner. Letting fear get in the way of taking the leap of faith to come here. And when I was in San Diego, the average person on Social Security gets around $2,000 a month, okay? The average rent on a 1-bedroom apartment is $2,300. Okay, well, that's not a car. You can't live in this city or pretty much anywhere in America without a car, unless you're living in San Francisco or some downtown spot like that. I mean, the first time you got to pay insurance, or you got to do this, you got to do that. It's hard to live in a van, even as I've thought it through, because that was an alternative that I was taking. So coming here or not coming here, I would have regretted it. And the way that I was going around and around and around about coming here and this and that and time dragging out and one more job, and when I finish that, I'll have a little bit more cash. Well, I didn't. It drained a lot of my savings too in the long run. But I was down to a point where in my bank account, I could buy a van, customize it, and stay there. Or I had enough to get myself started here in the Philippines, you know, and I could not possibly have made a better choice.
What do you think is the number one driver for guys not getting on the plane or buying
Fear.
the ticket? Fear of what? Can we
Fear of the
drill down
unknown.
on that?
I think fear of the unknown.
Okay.
And I mean, that's kind of legit, but if it can stand in the way of your eternal happiness, you know, we have one life to live. And if you can come here and find, like I have, that I can live a very full life on average Social Security income, very full. And on my channel, I just did a couple of videos of brand new, never occupied apartments at $100 a month. 20 minutes from, you know, the international airport, 20 minutes from some of the best hospitals in the Philippines, and 1.5 million square foot malls, which can have, you know, you walk in, the first thing you see is an Oakley store. I've never seen an Oakley store in America. You know, there's just everything. The Nike store there is probably almost 2,500 square feet. A Nike store, 2,500 square feet. You don't know what to eat? There's at least 30 restaurants I saw there that were born in America. From McDonald's, KFC, blah, 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 you know, whatever Pizza Hut, on and on and on. It's just there. So when you land, you know, it's not going to totally be foreign. You're not, when you walk in that mall, 1.5 million square feet, you might see a sign on a store that's in Korean because it's a Korean store, but everything else is in English. Contracts, if you sign a lease, you buy a car, what are we going to do? It's in English, you know? It's a place where if you don't like it, turn around, go home. Have a good exit strategy when you get here, when you come, and that's going to relieve a lot of your fear of the unknown. When you get here, you see all these videos of people, I hate this and I hate that, and I can't stand this and I can't stand that. Move, go somewhere else. I mean, I just was blown away. After 4 years of being here, I was blown away at the beaches in Pang Lao. Not an expensive place to live, stunning, stunning beaches. They're the nicest I've ever seen in a video. And I mean, I was standing on them. And you're in a place where, from a nice little place, semi-country, you can rent for 13 or 14,000 pesos. Now, there again, you're 5 miles from an international airport. And what a place to just start, find some place that's cheap, and venture out from there. My biggest thing that I see with people is they don't know, how much money do I need? What do I need to do? My suggestion is, make a list of your lifestyle as it is. How many times do you go golfing a month? Okay, put down golfing one time. How much do I spend on food? Okay, well, Darrell has this video that'll show you how much carrots are, how much cabbage is, how much all these things. And he goes through the public market. He goes through Pure Gold, which is like a kind of a large 400 plus stores in the Philippines. Then I'll go to SM hypermarkets. Okay, there's probably 80 of those. And then there's S&R. S&R, you can buy the block cheese and a lot of the stuff that nobody can seem to find here. You can find it at S&R. And the different price points, you can figure out pretty darn close, probably within 30 or 40 bucks, what your monthly food bill will be, okay? And that is a big thing. These are all fears people have before they get here. The budget, you know, everybody wants to know the budget.
Okay, would you agree with this? I've always stated that a lot of guys that I've met, or haven't met but have heard from, have come over here and hated it and ended up going back home. And I've always stated, you are a success story. You got up off your ass, you got up off the couch, you bought the plane ticket, you came out, it wasn't for you. There's no crime in you not liking whatever the aforementioned things you mentioned a second ago, and saying, no, I'm better off at home. Victory in my book, because you will go to your grave and never say, gee, I wish I'd have tried the Philippines. That, you know, I'm unhappy here. Well, now you can check that off your list and maybe appreciate what you already have that much more. You know, it's not for everyone.
I had a guy tell me, well, I have my grandkids. I said, my son just invited me to go meet my grandson for the first time. When I was booking a ticket, literally, I can afford a trip, round trip to Dallas, around $1,079 every month, every month. So I would see my grandson more often than I would if I was in San Diego trying to pay the freight or trying to pay the gas to get my van over there.
Yeah.
And the coming here, and you hear a lot of people talk about it and having a home base. Because, I mean, let's say you're going to move to Cincinnati. How do you know what Cincinnati's like if you've never been there? It's like you're going to go to America. Well, you might end up in south side of Chicago. Go, this is America, I'm going home, I don't like it. Well, no, that's the south side of Chicago. Maybe you like a place in Colorado by the snow. Maybe you like a place in a small town on the coast of California or Florida where you just love the ocean. It just does it for you. Every day you get up, you look out, you're having your coffee, and it doesn't get any better for some people. So it's finding that place. But if you just come here and you're bucking the system and you want to change everything to the way that it should be, or the way that it was where you came from, and how long it takes to change a tire, and if they only had the on and on reasons, if that's the way you're going to look at things when you get here, you can kind of save the trouble. But Paul is correct. The guys that actually take the time to come here, even if they don't like it, they don't find nirvana, they're not going to sit. Those are not the kind of guys that sit on their couch wishing that they'd done this, wishing they'd done that, wishing they'd done something else. Just do it. And you figure out a good exit strategy to get here and back. No harm, no foul.
Real quick interjection. My exit strategy when I did my thing was I worst case scenarioed it.
Yeah.
I said, what's the worst thing that can happen?
Absolutely.
If I sell my condo and I sell my car and I quit my job and I give away my clothes and whatever else I've got, I just rid myself of everything down to one suitcase and one backpack. What is the worst thing that can happen to Uncle Paulie? Well, I don't like it. I go back home and I get another job, rent another apartment, or buy another condo, get another car payment, and just keep on keeping on.
And that probably could have been the key to your success.
Could have been. Let's talk about something that is sort of peripheral to this. What about, we talk about what we should bring. We should pack this, we should pack that, we should bring, like I said, I brought one suitcase or one backpack. I think what's more important is what you unpack before you get on the plane. Do you want to address that a little bit?
Well, for me, and I can only speak about my personal experiences. Now, Paul, he knows 1,000 people that have come and gone and for various reasons, and he can talk from a lot of experience. But for me, I remember sitting on I'm in California, okay? I'm sitting on the airport in LA as we're pulling off, and I've been thinking about all the taxes and all the stuff I've been paying. I'm thinking, I'm no longer going to be contributing to the delinquency of a state. You know, I'm gonna be on my own. If I make any mistakes, it's mine. And the thing to bring is your patience, number one, because things are not going to be they were wherever you left, especially if you've never been in the military or you've never really traveled. There's a method and the way people do things here. And keep in mind, I was standing in a grocery store and it was taking a long time. It occurred to me one day, in America, the people, they get all that stuff through because of all the electronics and the latest gizmos on, checking stuff out, and they're paid union wages probably. But I pay a lot less for food here, personally, because the hypermarkets don't invest in the latest technology. They don't pay union wages. They don't do, it just is what it is. And if you've got two people doing one job, I think about everything else that's going on in my life is wonderful, and it takes kind of the edge off of standing in line for 20 minutes, which you will do when you go food shopping here. It's one of those things.
When you get on the plane, and maybe you've had a great life or you've had a rough life, and you've got some sour memories, and you've got some regrets. We're speaking about regrets of not coming over here, but you've got some regrets of what you did when you were 20 or 25. The woman you broke up with, a child that went off the reservation, whatever it might have been. Do you think it's important to just sort of unpack all those thoughts and memories
as much as you can,
leave them at the airport, get on here, and not for a second chance, but for a first chance at finding out who you really are without all that other stuff that's constantly knocking at the back of your brain?
I don't know if it's proper English, but I kind of look at there's two ways of saying the same thing, mean the same thing to most people. To me, it means a little bit different. I get to redo something as opposed to a do-over. Do-over means I'm going to have the same result, same result. Redo means that I get to turn left when I should have turned right before. Now, as I was kind of talking about at the very beginning, as a result of being here, most of my reminiscing is about since I've been here, because it's just so different. So that stuff just naturally fades away.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you wanna get to a life where it's a new life, you're starting over, and you can let that go, this is the place for me that I found. And I cannot imagine I would have found it anywhere else, living in Slab City or wherever you're going to be in America on the kind of budget that I had to deal with. And I just think it fades away, and it becomes another lifetime. It's not that you regret thinking about it. It just doesn't keep you awake at night, when you think about it today, because everything else in this life, for me, has just come up. I mean, if I've got a problem, it's my problem.
I think one of the keys to that is that, they say that time heals all wounds. And I think that when you come over here or anywhere, it could be Vietnam, or like you said, you could be moving from California to Cincinnati, there's no more constant reminders of those bad memories, circumstances, places. There's certain smells that will jolt your memory of when you were 9 years old.
Yeah.
There's certain music that you can hear. There's still one song, Ricky Don't Lose That Number, that the minute that comes on, I think of a girl named Robin that I was dating at the time. It's just jars that memory. I think, and those are all very positive, but I think the same applies to negative thoughts, emotions, and memories. As you come over here, you're subjected to, or you're exposed rather, to just a completely, totally different atmosphere. And those memories, good, bad, or indifferent, tend to just go into your rearview mirror. And as you look in the rearview mirror, they get further and further and further away. And all of a sudden you find your eyes pointing forward on the road you're driving instead of in the rearview mirror. Have you found that to be something that applies in your life?
Yeah. It's like you can look backwards or you can look forward. And when I get up today and I'm looking at how beautiful it is, that just blocked out some bad memories that could have been darting in my head. Now, I think that as a result of being here, my stress level has become so low. And in America, we just have, there's stress, just stress. And I know that when I got off the plane after being gone for 3.5 years or 2.5 years, that I was feeling the stress as I was landing. And I would get out, I would drive my son's car, I would be doing whatever, and I see people pounding their steering wheel, and I realized I'm just not stressed. So that systemic stress, for lack of a better term, and I might be completely wrong, just doesn't exist, and the white noise we hear from being in that culture just kind of no longer exists. And when you get up in the morning or looking out or having your coffee, what's in front of you and what's happening in your life today is what fills that void left by that stuff that's kind of you're leaving behind, and you're creating new memories when you're here. When I travel, I mean, I'm one of those guys that just likes to see what's around the next corner. I mean, half the trip is the trip, getting there, seeing the pictures, buying the t-shirts, doing that stuff. That's what you do when you get there. But from point A to point B, I'm interested in what's around the next corner. In my videos, you'll notice I have a lot of B-roll just of scenery. It's just because I'm sharing what it is that I like. As when I'm having a bad day, I go get on a Jeep. I just go for a ride. Hop on a bus. I just go for a ride.
Speaking of B-roll, speaking of videos, I'd be remiss if we didn't mention your channel.
Oh.
Can you please give a shout out to your own channel?
Yeah, it's X-Pensive, which is EX-Pensive _expat. And this is people will say, oh, expensive. I go, no, it's X-Pensive, because if you don't know what pensive means, it's like you're driving about at 90 miles an hour, you gotta go right, you gotta go left, you don't know. As you're trying to figure it out, that's being pensive. X means no longer. So I'm no longer that way since I've been here, which is the whole point of it. It's not about money at all.
I'm gonna put a link to Darrell's channel in the description box.
Yeah.
I'd love it if you guys would check it out. He's got some, as you've noticed in this video, some very sage words of wisdom. He is also the king of finding cheap rent. This guy can take, I don't know what, a mud hut and turn it into a total man cave for like $2,000 and $100 a month once he factors everything in. And he's not your average bear, but he is the guy that can, I don't know, you have this ability to see things beyond what I'm able to see. It's truly a gift that you have, and I commend you on that. And I think it's fascinating on your channel to see how you take something that I wouldn't even give a second look to, and yet you see sort of the gold that's buried beneath the dirt, and you bring that gold out, you mine it out, and then you bring it to life, and you make a beautiful piece of jewelry out of it, where I would have never have seen the gold nugget. So my hat's off to you when it comes to that stuff.
And I'm going to be doing something along those lines of explaining how I do it.
Cool.
For those who are interested. And keep in mind when you see what you see, and you, oh, I couldn't do that. Yes, you can do this, because I did none of the work myself. I think I painted 2 walls on the exterior. That's it.
Yeah.
And all the other changes, labor is a top pay is $16 or $17 a day. And you got a general idea, look on YouTube, how about, on how to do it. And so you say, well, I want this. And you got a general idea, and you explain you want it this way, you draw it, and it gets done. And I had a patio demoed. I had a new one poured, and I had an old bar demoed, and I had a new one built for 140 pesos. No, I mean 14,000 pesos. And a tree demoed and hauled away besides. It's like crazy. I had French doors put in my kitchen, from the demo to the manufacturing, the installation, and the glass and everything. It's 14,000 pesos. You stop and think about it,
Like I said, this man's got a way of seeing things, finding things, working around it, and he does it in such a manner that he's friends with everybody at the end of the day, and he gets the cheapest price possible. What would a final word be that you would offer to someone watching this video right now that's possibly sitting on his sofa, sitting in his lazy boy, watching you talk? He's 50-50 about making the move either here or somewhere else. And we agreed that it's probably fear of the unknown, fear of maybe an insecurity, fretting about the kids, fretting about whatever, I don't know, scared. First of all, you don't have to sell everything to come over here. In fact, I'd advise you don't. That's what I did, but I would not advise people to do that. I would say take an exploratory trip and put your toe in the water before you decide to jump in the pool, and then come back, and if you dig it, go ahead and unload all that stuff and do, as you said, sort of a redo or a do-over. What would you say to the guy that's watching this right now? He goes, man, I want to go, but. I
would say do what Uncle Paul did. Make a list of your fears or the reasons why you don't want to come. Number 1 at the top, what's the worst case situation? Okay, first you start with your exit strategy. Okay, well, like a ticket back to America would run $800. Okay, so you're going to have that sitting in the bank somewhere, or you're going to have somebody promise to loan it to you, whatever you get there. And just look at the worst case situation. Once you know what the worst case situation is, that fear you can, put in the finished pile. The next thing, the finished pile, and then you stop and take a breath and go, okay, now what are my reasons not to do this? And if you deal with these things from a list, you cover them all, and you get it out of your system once and for all. And if you got questions, send a question to Paul, send a question to me, and look for the answers. Because when you come, it's not necessarily going to be what you think. I mean, my friend Darrell, he gets here and he said it's just in the air. He said it's just calming just to be here. So once you get out of the airport, a little beyond the initial people wanting to help you out, go to Makati. Go buy a steak. Go buy anything.
Go to McDonald's. Have something familiar.
Yeah. Go to the food court at Aura Mall in BGC and go see how much a steak is.
Yeah.
It's 7,000 pesos. It's not, or yeah, that's the most expensive. The average meal on that menu, which is still beef and meat and all the chicken and everything else, is under 300 pesos in probably the most expensive mall in all of the Philippines.
So what's your stress level like here compared to America?
Well, it's got to be kind of like zero because I've never felt less stress than I feel.
Let's end it on that. Guys, if you want to get less stress, if you want to say, I did it without regret, if you love it, awesome. If you hate it, you still made the attempt, and you can check it off your list, because I can't think of anything worse than living a life where you regretted not doing something that was possible. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks, Darrell.